Ride the signal through the unknown. This is the cryptic current.
Since 1960, researchers Nancy and Tab discovered that many children could see spirits, the light around people, and even predict the future. Not only them, but regression hypnotherapist Dolores Hannon also found something similar. She believed these children were volunteers from another world, with a mission to change Earth's energy frequency to prevent impending disasters. Then, amid unsolved mysteries, it was incredibly fortunate that an ancient diary, considered one of the most classic and authentic works on supernatural phenomena in history, was made public. The diary's owner truthfully recorded what he saw from when he was a boy until he became a man, even up to entries 6 years before his death. From seeing spirits, people's energy fields, predicting upcoming events, seeing souls trapped in this world, tiny entities dwelling in trees, to even seeing illnesses on human bodies through strange glowing spots. The boy saw on the body of an acquaintance, Mrs. Cuff, an art-colored crab clinging tightly. No one believed him, but just a year later, Mrs. Co died of cancer. Cancer, the disease's original name in Greek, is karkinos, meaning crab. No one understood why the boy had this ability, except one person who believed him, Teacher Ottman. The teacher discovered the boy could read his past without being told, even conversing with the spirit of his deceased father. Through this, the boy learned an even greater truth. This world is not only inhabited by humans, but also by entities beyond human understanding. In The Indigo Children, we've talked a lot about the strange events when the author was a boy. But after he grew up, even more miraculous and strange events occurred. So what does this reveal? Today, we'll discuss the diary part after the boy grew up. The psychic boy sees the truth. Miss Ruby. The book. Its content is highly worth reading, and it has changed many people's views on souls and life. Even Professor Lee Zixin, an honorary professor at National Taiwan University, was so captivated when he first read it that he couldn't put it down. Since the author didn't want to use this diary for fame or profit, information about his background is scarce. Even his name, and when he started writing the diary, are unknown. But roughly estimating, we can guess the author likely started the diary at age 6 to 8 and died in his 50s. Essay Diary. The content is based on daily events, recording many of the author. The book's author is a Victorian-era English boy, born with special abilities, able to see things ordinary people can't, so he was mocked by family and friends. But luckily, his tutor, Mr. Portman, believed in him deeply and was someone he could confide in. Fortunately, most of the spirits and entities he saw were very benevolent. From these spirits, the boy learned much useful knowledge, including from his deceased grandfather. His grandfather often encouraged him to keep writing the diary, because one day it would be published and could help people illuminate the darkness in their hearts. Though not fully understanding, the boy knew in his heart he must persevere in writing. On July 20, 1836, the boy recorded a conversation with his grandfather's spirit. Through his grandfather, he learned that his new tutor, Mr. Portman, was chosen by him and his friends in the spirit world to be the boy's teacher. Now, seeing the boy and teacher interact so well, he and his spirit world friends were very pleased. That day, his grandfather talked about heaven. He said heaven is far more beautiful than humans can imagine. In the coming days, more people will believe in the existence of souls. This is good, because people will no longer grieve so deeply over death. Everyone's lives will also become a bit happier. The boy asked him, when people grow old and die, do they appear old like that in heaven? He said no, the soul itself can transform into whatever appearance it desires. However, fearing the boy wouldn't recognize him, he still visited the boy in his ancient form. But at this moment, the boy felt puzzled. He asked, if ghosts are the souls of the dead, then why do ghosts still wear clothes? Clothes don't have souls, do they? The grandfather laughed and said, humans can't just run around without clothes. It's similar for souls. They can imagine themselves in whatever form and appear in that form. From this perspective, when a soul appears before humans, it must also consider human receptivity. On August 20, 1886, while the boy was with Mr. Botman, unexpectedly, his grandfather came to visit him. Seizing this opportunity, Mr. Botman used the boy to convey his own questions. He asked, in the eyes of a soul, what do humans look like? The grandfather replied, in the eyes of a soul, humans actually look like ghosts too. He described, the soul is like a wisp of smoke, while the human body is like water. When observing the particles in the human body at a microscopic level, they're actually quite separate. Therefore, souls can pass through the human body. The boy told him that he missed his grandmother very much, but didn't understand why she had never visited him after her death. The grandfather explained, when she was alive, she was very stubborn and remained so after passing away. She believed that only those with faith go to heaven, while others go to hell. But that stubborn belief has caused her to now live in a world created by her. And others who share the same mistaken belief. On September 9th of the same year, the soul who had been a priest in life appeared. He asked Mr. Botman to prepare pen and paper to take notes, as he had something very important to say. However, the pastor said nothing special, even making them feel uncomfortable all over. Later, the boy discovered that this pastor's soul was actually arranged by his grandfather to teach them a lesson. When alive, the pastor liked to ramble, and after death, this habit remained unchanged. The grandfather said some souls need a lot of time to change their way of thinking. It's not like shedding the physical body immediately brings change. That long-winded pastor is probably like the boy's grandmother and mother, all due to stubborn beliefs. The boy recalled, his mother always hoped he would go to church. But during the time he and Mr. Botman spent together, they chose to take walks in the park instead. Mr. Botman believed that worshiping God doesn't necessarily require going to church, because humans in nature can also feel all the beautiful things bestowed by God. When humans express reverence and gratitude to God, that is also a form of worship. And the boy also strongly agreed with Mr. Botman's viewpoint. On November 12, 1886, the boy had been bedridden for days due to the flu. That day, he had a strange dream. In the dream, he was someone else. The era seemed very ancient, as everyone there wore ancient attire. Suddenly in the dream, the boy saw Jesus. Jesus said to him, "My child, this is not the first time you have lived on earth. Each of us has lived many times in the past. And what you see are memories stored in spiritual consciousness." Jesus also said the boy would remember many more things. Actually, after hearing these words, the boy didn't feel surprised, because many times he had sensed a part deep within himself that was extremely ancient. The next day, the boy had another dream. In the dream, the boy was almost completely naked. His skin was dark brown like chocolate. He sat alone in a cave, feeling both peaceful and happy. Afterward, he dreamed that he had arrived in heaven. Next, the scene in the dream changed again. The boy arrived at another lifetime. He saw a black man with a turban on his head performing a ritual with him. In this lifetime, the boy's father was a religious guru. He was imparting knowledge to his disciples. The boy did not understand what these dreams wanted him to comprehend. Until one day, Jesus, whom he had met many times, appeared again, and answered the questions in his heart. This time, Jesus was not the same as before. He required the boy to be present. He could not be absent. Because the boy was young and might not remember everything, the content would be continued later. Therefore, the fortune teller needed to help the boy record it through his narration. Jesus said it was time to tell the boy his true identity. First, he told the boy not to be too sad, because his true identity was not actually Jesus, but the teacher in many of the boy's past lives. For convenience of address, we will temporarily call this teacher the elder. In reality, the elder existed within the body of an Eastern, but he could leave the body at will, and could even appear before people in the form of a soul. The elder explained that although the boy had a mature soul, Currently, he was only a young brain and body. If this matter had been discussed with the boy from the beginning, it would have been unbearable for his mind, and would have made it even more incomprehensible to him. From this, it can be understood that in each lifetime, the elder had been watching over the boy. And in this lifetime, the boy had been reborn into a Christian family, so that he could receive teachings and awaken a kind heart. That is why initially, the elder used the image of Jesus. When the boy gained the ability to think independently, the elder told him the truth. Although the elder's image was no longer Jesus, the love the boy felt remained unchanged. He also seemed to no longer care about who he was. His reverence and affection for the elder did not change. The elder told the boy that the reason he had a supernatural ability to see souls in this was because in a past life he had been a capable Indian. The efforts each being made in a past life would reappear in the next lifetime in the form of innate abilities or talents. Whether good or bad, they are all shaped by past actions to form the present appearance. For when a person sows seeds, he must inevitably reap. Everything is not a random product. In reality, everything is governed by laws. Those who once loved each other will meet again and share joy. Those who once hated each other will also meet again and suffer together. But if one has wisdom, they should forgive each other. The elder told the boy to remember that what deities value is not human beliefs, but human beings themselves. What they see through is the human heart, not the brain. The most precious treasure lies within the human heart. 1. Through the elder's words, we can understand that. 2. What highly awakened beings value is not the external fate of humans. 3. Or a person's intelligence, but rather the Buddha nature or inner goodness. 4. Is the most precious thing. 5. On November 27, 1886, the grandfather's spirit appeared. 6. The boy still had some doubts about the concept of reincarnation. 7. So he wanted to know his grandfather's view on this matter. 8. Unexpectedly, the grandfather did not believe in reincarnation and knew nothing about matters related to the 9. Both Bobman and the boy found it strange. Why would a spirit not believe in reincarnation? 10. Regarding this issue, the elder explained to Bobman and the boy. 11. The elder said that those who have left their physical bodies live as if in a foreign land. 12. They do not necessarily understand everything immediately. 13. The elder said that among Eastern peoples while alive, they already knew the truth of reincarnation. 14. After passing away, they bring that truth back to the spirit. 15. However, over time, Western peoples have long forgotten this truth. 16. Those who serve the divine have even removed this part from the teachings. 17. Then, the elder invited his disciple to answer their questions. 18. Botman first wanted to ask, after death, the soul separates from the body anyway. 19. So what drives a soul to return to earth? 20. The elder's disciple replied, life is extremely. 21. Human life is a combination of physical life, emotional life, mental life. 22. And spiritual life. 23. There is a close connection between these lives. 24. The human body needs food to maintain health. 25. While the other bodies require corresponding methods to absorb nourishment. 26. Therefore, when humans leave the physical body, the weak, undeveloped bodies. 27. Cannot survive too long in this space. 28. The soul is immortal, so past karma requires a physical body. 29. To bear the consequences of one's own. 30. The wicked will taste bitter fruit, the good will return to receive sweet fruit. 31. That is why humans have both good and bad luck. 32. The boy then asked, so how can the soul avoid having to return? 33. The elder's disciple said, humans must be selfless. 34. So as not to create more karmic debts to repay. 35. Moreover, humans need to sincerely do good with. 36. Because desires will bind humans to the earthly realm. 37. Becoming chains that pull the soul into the next cycle of reincarnation. 38. The boy's teacher, who is also the elder, once said. 39. Attachment to wealth is the root of all evil. 40. So true eternal joy does not come from things gained by pursuing external material possession. 41. But from looking inward. 42. To put it bluntly, it means seeking within, not without. 43. The elder's disciple. 44. There are souls of relatively high levels who will become a kind of deity or angel. 45. Each country has its own protector. 46. However, some deities become enamored with earthly life and wish to become human. 47. In many past lives, the boy was once a deity. 48. And moreover, he deeply revered the elder, and for this reason, in his life. 49. He can easily see things that others cannot. 50. Through several conversations, the boy gained a deeper understanding of the principle of reincarnation. On April 15, 1887, the boy's grandfather brought a new soul. This soul, when alive, was an outstanding scientist who had put forward many viewpoints. Among them, he believed that when a physical body is destroyed, consciousness would simultaneously cease. However, after death, he discovered that these beliefs were all mistaken. Therefore, he wanted to use the boy and the fortune teller to correct what he had once said. He realized that scientists must be wary of the dangers of inductive logic. Because if humans overlook a single fact, they might miss an entire sky of truth. Just as if one psychic is a fraud, many people will infer that all psychic phenomena are fraudulent. Based on scientists' views on the soul, the reason humans think souls do not exist is due to ignorance of the fundamental principles governing the entire universe. If humans could comprehend the meaning of vibration, the existence of the soul would become reasonable. And the vibrational frequency of the soul is higher than that of the physical body, which is also why humans cannot perceive the existence of the soul. The human third eye is essentially the ability to see things with quite high or quite low vibrational frequencies. He also pointed out that the attitude of colleagues in the scientific field when faced with phenomena outside their expertise is extremely unscientific and indifferent. The facts collected by an expert may be accurate. However, the conclusions inferred from these facts are likely to be mostly wrong. For example, the reason a vacuum looks very empty is actually due to human senses, which can only perceive up to a certain limited degree. The matter that constitutes the soul, although tiny, actually also occupies this space. And the boy has the ability to see these tiny materials. Like there is a chair in front of him. If he moves forward a bit more, he could pass through this chair. Because the particles that make up this chair have enough space to allow him to pass through. Additionally, he also mentioned that the soul does not have just one layer. When the consciousness space sublimates to a higher level, the soul continues to shed another layer. The form of life and consciousness coexist simultaneously. Even a tree, as long as it is alive, possesses a weak consciousness. Even many celestial bodies, including Earth, have great spiritual beings called celestial spirits. And ancient astrology mentions that celestial bodies will influence human destiny. Actually, it is due to the magnetic power released by these celestial spirits that influences human destiny. The scientist's soul said that in the spirit world, events happening in the human world can be known in advance. This is because the occurring events are presented before them. Ideas or thoughts do not originate from the material world but from the world of ideas where they exist. In other words, a thought, before being materialized in the human world, has already been seen in advance in the spirit world. However, this type of prediction can have errors. There are two reasons for this. First, souls find it very difficult to measure time using methods that humans understand. Second, the decline in human mentality and morality forces the spirit world to intervene and make appropriate adjustments. Hence, the situation of prophecies not coming true occurs. On September 24, 1887, the boy felt depressed. Because he felt that he was actually grown up, due to a weak heart, he wasn't very strong either. Yet he wanted to try to accept all of this. When the diary reached this point, the elder appeared and comforted him. "My child, don't be sad anymore. Although you are not like others doing what they're doing. However, in the future, you will instead feel happy that you cannot be like them." After growing up, although the boy still persisted in writing a diary, he no longer recorded dates as clearly as when he was young. Instead, he wrote thoughts about some events. Additionally, he once lost a diary in another province. Therefore, bit by bit of his life after growing up has a large part that is blank. In the blink of an eye, the boy had become a man. He married his girlfriend named Jay. But this was a failed marriage. He and Jay were about to end this marriage. One day, while he was meditating, the elder appeared. At this moment, he began to blame the elder. "Why didn't you warn me in advance that Jay and I would not be happy?" The elder explained, "As elders, we are not here to help disciples avoid karma. You and Jay share a common karma. you're compelled to complete it together. If the elder had warned you in advance, it would be like interfering with the law of karma. That is not permitted. So that's how it is. Therefore, if anyone later wonders, if gods truly exist, then why is there still so much suffering in the world? This is precisely the answer. Even if you have the ability to see the future, you are not permitted to know your own destiny in advance. Because if a person already knows their own destiny, they will prepare in advance. This also interferes with the law of karma. After speaking, the elder smiled and left. Later, the man married his second wife, Jay. He also mentioned some special phenomena in the letter he sent to her. He once saw some guardian deities in the hills of Marseille, France. They inhale the city's polluted air into their bodies, purify it, and then exhale clean energy. The man said, if the gods did not do this, Marseille would suffer a great disaster. He also saw another case in Monte Carlo, Monaco. The guardian deities on the mountains here no longer manage human affairs. The vibrational frequency of the spiritual energy in this city made him feel very uncomfortable. If it weren't for the many beautiful pieces of music here, he thought this power source would have burned down the casinos already. Otherwise, sooner or later they would sink into the water, because water and fire always play the role of the final purification. After that, he went to Paris to meet his artist friends again. Although very happy, he discovered this city was also filled with foul energy. He decided to stay for a while and then leave. It can be inferred that the foul energy he saw was the accumulated karma of the people there. If a person's spirit declines, or an area has many people behaving wrongly, this can cause the entire city to fall into a vortex of destruction. Although guardian deities in some places will help purify this kind of karma, if humans continue to create karma, the deities will also give up and no longer care. One day, the man returned to Kershik, England. The elder told him, in the not-too-distant future, humanity will face a great trial. This is to prepare for a new century that is about to arrive. The current century will end approximately 40 years from now, and during the transition period between the old and new century, innocent people will have to endure great suffering, both physically and mentally. However, if humans can listen to the words of the saints, do not use selfishness, deceit, hypocrisy, and power to rule the world, then this suffering can actually be avoided. But the evil karma that humans have sown in the not-too-distant future will have to reap the fruits of suffering. In 1914, the First World War broke out with great intensity. Due to his very weak heart, he was not drafted into the military. Finally, he also understood why many years ago the elder advised him not to be sad about his poor health. If he had been healthy and normal, he might have been sent to the battlefield early and sacrificed. This was also something he could not accept. During that time, his psychic abilities comforted many women, as they also wished to connect with their husbands who had fallen on the battlefield. One Sunday, his home tutor, Mr. Botman, came to visit. But this time, he appeared in the form of a spirit. He knew Mr. Botman had passed away. He felt he owed Mr. Botman too much. He couldn't imagine how he could have made it to today without his teacher's companionship. One of the reasons Mr. Botman came to see him was to urge him to publish his old diary. Mr. Botman was very persistent. He believed this was a very meaningful endeavor. He even said that spirits from the other world also strongly supported it. In 1927, during a meditation, the man saw the elder. Because they were in the cycle of Mars, the resonant frequency of this cycle would trigger emotions in those whose spiritual senses were not yet awakened. The elder was very worried that another battle would break out not long after. After hearing this, he only wanted to know if he would survive until then. The elder believed that it was not good for humans to foresee their own future fate, as this would make them even more negative. It is only permitted at specific times to give certain people some hints related to the future. However, such hints must include two possible directions for them to decide on their own. On the other hand, when seeing a certain behavior that would bring unfavorable consequences to the person, they could also be warned. Whether they heed these warnings or not is another matter. 6 years after writing these lines, the man passed away. From childhood to adulthood, he never gave up the habit of keeping a diary. This is extremely precious. However, he also recorded in his diary that he discovered he had a past life as a writer and poet, which might be why he could write endlessly. His diary was edited and published by the famous British composer and mystic, Cyril Scott, the psychic boy who saw the truth. Notably, although the boy's childhood was quite difficult, through the pages of the diary, it can be seen that he always maintained the innocence and kindness of a child. In his life, he never used his psychic abilities to pursue wealth or fame, nor did he ever do anything despicable. Originally, he did not want to publish his diary, but after repeated earnest pleas from his wife, he finally agreed. However, he also set the condition that it could only be published many years after his death. Additionally, the names of the people in the diary had to be changed to avoid disturbing or inconveniencing friends and relatives. The purity and kindness that the boy could always carry with him is extremely precious. Or perhaps the psychic ability he possessed helped him distinguish between good and evil, and see part of the truth of the world, so he was not lost in troubled times. However, ordinary people do not possess this ability, so they are very prone to losing their true self. John Sandfang once said, "The superior understand fate, the inferior understand fate, the mediocre." This means that the destiny of those who are extremely good or extremely bad is predetermined and very difficult to change. However, many people belong to the middle category with average qualities, who can rise or fall. So we can create changes ourselves to determine our destiny. Through this extrasensory diary, we seem to be able to see the world from the boy's perspective, a world that exists deeply beside us, but has never been seen before. It is like a candle that illuminates the human heart. At the same time, the boy's genuine purity also awakens the kindness within each person. After delving deeply into the book, I suddenly had a thought. Instead of constantly worrying about whether terrifying things will happen or not, and when they will occur, it's better for everyone to start changing right now. Day by day, becoming better, and even better. Because no matter what happens, it will not concern good people. And you, what do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below the video. Our sharing for today will pause here. If you find this video or the content on the Mitsubi channel truly helpful, please share it with a friend to explore together. Thank you very much. Goodbye and see you again. See you again.
If the signal hooked you, subscribe and catch the next ripple.